is there a they that is trying to take over the world and take away our freedoms? Well, I don't think so. I don't think there's a huge cabal of people that are in unity wanting to take away human beings' freedoms. I think there are people with control around the world who want more of it. And I think that's been the story of human history forever. So what makes me say this? And kind of what I'm basing this off of is I've heard some people online thinking that there's this huge cabal of people from the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and they have their fingers in dirt on every single politician in the world of like a G7 nation. And because they have their fingers or they have dirt on them, then they can kind of move them in any direction they want. Now, I think it could be true that they have dirt on some people and that they are influencing politicians, but I kind of like to filter what my opinion is on, let's say, a conspiracy theory or just a theory in general, because people, there's so much news out there, and just Russia, Ukraine alone, you can watch the news coverage and you're like, okay, so is Ukraine good? I mean, they have Nazis there, and so there's a lot of propaganda, obviously. You know, what I like to do is filter it through Occam's razor. If you're familiar, you probably heard that phrase before, but it means that the conclusion with the least amount of assumptions is probably correct. So, why I think people come up with theories, let's say on COVID, is because the government doesn't answer their questions, and so they have to come up with an assumption. They have to come to a conclusion. So when it comes to the World Economic Forum, Jerome Powell, Europe, and all these countries moving left, why I think there's not this huge cabal of individuals who want to take away people's freedoms. I'm not saying they're operating in good faith or that they care about their citizens. I'm saying they all have individual selfish desires. And I operate off that assumption with every politician. They all individually have selfish desires, which is why democracy works. It's because these individual competing desires hopefully balance out. And last year, Christine Lagarde, the head of the European Central Bank, said that it is our duty as a central bank to fight global warming. And she kind of posed that to Jerome Powell. And Jerome Powell, at the International Monetary Fund meeting, said, absolutely not. That is not our role as a central bank. Our role as a central bank is stable prices or stable dollars or stable currency. Now, what has Jerome Powell done since that has kind of shown that he's putting his money where his mouth is? He is raising rates as Europe had negative rates. So what that does is it draws capital out of Europe because they need dollars just like everybody else. And as bad monetary policy in Europe continues, that capital, smart money, if you will, goes where it's treated best. And usually it has to be some country that has some kind of infrastructure, G7 country of some kind. And the cleanest dirty shirt in the hamper right now is the United States. So if you've never heard of the dollar milkshake theory, look that up. But what the Central Bank of Europe and the Fed have had competing policies where the Fed is raising rates and it's crippling Europe because they have to keep printing money because they have this inflation problem. And another compounding thing about Europe that I hadn't really thought about is I knew they're all under the euro, but another complicating factor is imagine if in the United States, both Canada, Mexico, and Central America, and the United States all had the same currency. And imagine if one of those countries decided to blow out the spending and the other countries were fiscally conservative, but there was one central bank over every single one of these countries. So in Europe, Greece, Portugal, Spain, they're oftentimes insolvent because they have crazy spending policies. And this one central bank is forced to bail these people out because they're all under the euro. How do you think that makes countries like Germany feel? Do you think Germans are super excited to pay higher prices because Greece was fiscally irresponsible? The answer is no. So the same thing would happen in the United States. So as this capital is sucked out of Europe because they are forced to have easy monetary policy, it's going to come to the United States. And all the problems that you're seeing in the United States are at least twice as bad, if not 4, 5, 6 times as bad in Europe. And so I think the dominoes of the European Union are going to start to fall. And you need, with this global takeover, you need unity among leaders of countries, right? And the Fed is showing that they're not unified with the European Central Bank, and they're not unified with the World Economic Forum. So using Occam's razor, what takes the least amount of assumptions, what Jerome Powell is doing is completely antithetical to the proposal that there's this huge cabal of all people in power have this unified idea that they want to take away individual liberty and freedom. I'm not immune to the fact that a lot of people in power are evil, narcissistic people, but narcissistic people don't really work well together. They just don't, because if they have competing ideas, which one wins? And that's a good thing for democracy and for people that like distributed power. But let me know what you guys think about Occam's razor and what takes the least amount of assumptions, because I do think a lot of people are assuming things, and it's very complicated, and I'm by no means an expert on this. But I do think a lot of people make assumptions about the world that there's some facts that refute it. And one of those things is the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve not acting in concert whatsoever. And it, in fact, is hurting Europe a lot. So let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.